This is Understanding Love is Loss. This song is very emotional for me, and I think will be for a lot of folks. It is the Enneagram type 4, the individualist. The archetype is the creator or the writer, and it deals with depression, suicide. The color is green. This song starts off, the first 4 lines in the first stanza of the song are about the suicides of my favorite authors. Searching for Solace in a Toxic Temple is talking about the suicide of Sylvia Plath, who put her head in the oven and turned on the gas and blocked off the door so that her children wouldn't die from the gas inhalation. The next one is Fragments of Lead Climbing Through Your Head. That's talking about Ernest Hemingway shooting himself with a shotgun. Stones Load Your Coat as You Wade Through the Winter Current is talking about the suicide of Virginia Woolf, who struggled with mental illness her whole life pretty much, and eventually wrote a note to her husband saying that she loved him and that she can't continue. Then loaded her winter coat full of rocks and waded into a river. The wanton hanging of the Wise Pale King is a reference to David Foster Wallace, who's my favorite fiction author. Posthumously, after he died, what was left at his feet when he hung himself was actually the manuscript for what would be his last book, The Pale King. The reason I mentioned these suicides at the beginning of the song definitely is not to glorify them, because it's really sad, and I think a lot of loved ones of these people wish they didn't resort to that. It's examining the connection between a lot of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life and a lot of the most creative and gifted people, and why they struggle with depression. And I think that's something that I've never been able to understand fully. But I think of so many loved ones. One friend who I spoke with on the phone, this person is so incredible and so loving, and so many people count on this person, but this person also thinks about suicide almost every single day, and sometimes fantasizes about not living. He even thinks like, how can I continue with this like incredible depression when they just feel so empty, and there's some like mental torment that's chasing them, and they don't know where it comes from, and sometimes it seems like medication's the only way to even get through the day. As a therapist, I saw a lot of students who dealt with depression. There's no easy answer, and I think the trouble with anxiety and depression is if you're not suffering through it, there's a sense of like you just want people to snap out of it. If you're not experiencing it, it's hard to understand. Like, everything's good, we're having fun, why can't you be happy? And a lot of times people with depression or anxiety feel like they're being a disappointment. They're aware that they're dragging other people down, and that often leads people to isolate themselves, which furthers the issue though, because that definitely won't help people deal with those emotions. Many people who have had depression have told me that what helps them the most is just to see other people's joy. And even though they might not feel it, it's just seeing that joy does something for them. And so Understanding Love is Loss, really examines when you choose to love someone, you actually do lose something. And that's a weird thing, because you always hear about when you love someone, you get something. Love always comes at sacrifice. And that's why I called it Understanding Love is Loss, because with every person I've loved and all the students I saw in therapy who I'll never probably get to meet again, at least on this side of heaven, in choosing to love them and care about them, I also knew that I would lose them in some sense, whether I don't see them again or whatever. And life is full of loss, and it's not easy. But I do believe if people can talk about what they're going through, that there's hope. And I also personally believe, and I found hope in Jesus, that death is no longer the end. I believe in eternal life, which is to say, in this world, we don't have to live every day dying, but we can live every day living. I encourage you, if you're watching this, to seek help and to talk to people, because I don't believe that suicide ends pain. I don't believe that it's ever the answer. And I know that might be totally not postmodern of me to tell you that choosing to die is not the right choice, but I don't believe it's the right choice for anyone. And if you're in a place where you're feeling suicidal or depressed, I'm not going to promise you that things will get better, because I can't tell you that for sure. And sometimes in my life, things had to get a lot worse before they got better. But I can tell you that living and the adventure of living and personally being someone I have tried to kill myself multiple times, that would have been a mistake. And I'm very glad that my mom one time found a note about me wanting to kill myself, and found someone who took me out to coffee and talked to me when I was 15 or 16. One of my friends with depression says, the world feels like there's no color. Even if you can't see the color, be bold enough to ask someone to describe the color of the world for you. Don't ever let someone tell you that depression isn't real or it's just like a phase, because depression is very real. For some people, it's longer than a phase. And I don't have any simple platitudes, but I love you, and maybe someone needs to hear this. So there's a suicide prevention helpline where 24/7 there's someone who's going to talk to you. It's 1-800-273-8255. I don't believe it's your fault that you struggle with these things, and I have seen it get better for many people. So whatever happens next, I encourage you to be courageous enough to choose life over death. Thanks.